Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is our first time being live on a Wednesday for our live recordings. Welcome in, everybody. We are going to introduce our cast top to bottom. We're only going to do 2 chapters today. Sorry for that delay. I was a little disorganized this evening. Happy morning, evening, whatever time you are. And I guess let's get started. Do you guys mind saying hello so I can make sure I have your audio on?
Hello, chat.
Hey, it's
Hello.
Hello. All right, top to bottom. Al, take it away.
Hello, I am Al number 1 Stan, or Al. Today I'm going to be a narrator.
Wahoo!
I'm Connor. I'm your Julius and host the ReZero podcast. Shout out in chat if you watched our latest one. It was one of our favorites. We loved it a ton.
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, a great one. I am Gold, and today I'm going to be a narrator.
Yay!
Hello, this is Greenie here, one of the editors. I am going to just be an analyst, so I'll be sitting in the background.
Yay!
Hello, I am Carmen, and I am your lovely Maylee.
Yay! I'm Kyles. I am Amelia, of course. I'm also going to cover for Anastasia and Betty today.
And I'm Wolf. Hello, everyone. I play Subaru, and I'm one of the ReZero podcast hosts.
Ah! Hey, thanks so much, Zach, for donating to the super chat. That's another $9, almost $10 towards
The Lost Fund! We're so in this!
I guess we'll do a quick update. There was a new episode of the Arc 8 analysis for from the podcast on Monday. And then we also had our April Fools, Happy Birthday Subaru, Waifu tier list. So thank you all for watching that and enjoying it. You guys will have another podcast for Friday. This will be the next phase of Arc 8. We've almost caught up with what the boys have created. And then, of course, we'll be back Saturday. And we're just going to keep doing that routine. Soon enough, we're going to catch up with the podcast. And once we do, we'll stop uploading on Mondays. But until then, it'll be Monday, Friday. Then it'll just go back to a Friday upload. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah, we're going to start Arc 9. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Yes.
A couple of us have already read through it.
And
Yeah, it's gonna be a treat.
a treat. Yummy.
Yum, yum, yum.
Well,
And we've got a couple others in the pipeline waiting on their way to you as well that we'll have. Make sure that you are enjoying them. You like and subscribe to keep up with those as well. We have to be smart about our CTAs.
smash that
it
bell
helps
icon. Turn on the
always.
notifications.
And just leave comments. We read every single
read
one of
every
them
single
and
one.
love them so much.
I heart them every single time. Unless they're poopy. And then I just like them.
That's what you all should do. Like the
Yeah,
ones that
more
you like
engagement.
and dislike the ones that you dislike.
Yeah. And even if
Simply
you
dunk
dislike,
them.
that helps.
Don't say that.
Every
have-
dislike is like 5 views.
Yeah. We have like one person who consistently dislikes our videos. Thank you for contributing.
Yeah. It does help.
Number 1 hater.
Our number 1 hater. We love you for it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for always watching.
Ding.
Always tunes in, at least. Maybe their computer's upside down or something.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Or they could be like Common and live in Australia, but with an American computer.
Upside
True!
down. Common, what's it like hanging upside down?
Yeah, upside down computer.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how do you walk on the ceiling?
We got like suspenders and like little suction boots.
I bet you got like evil spider
Oh.
technology that you stole from those evil creatures to use.
We're all genetically
Why do you think they made them
modified.
so big?
The sigh that spilled out of your mouth was crazy. Yay. Welcome back.
But
everybody.
yes, and as just to thank you again, Zoc, if everyone didn't know, that goes directly to our Lust If Fund. That's not a joke. When that reaches 100%, we will edit, record, and do a fully written out version of the Lustif story as if it was just another chapter. And
Yes.
it's going to be amazing.
We'll
Ton
be
of fun.
writing 2 full chapters or like 2 full characters, and the rest will be as normal, just with a few quick edits.
Mm-hmm.
And I will
Yeah,
go hard
and
on the audio mixing.
yeah, there's a lot of depth in that story, and we'll make sure to extract all of it.
Yeah, get all of it out.
Sorry if you can hear us
We're,
munching.
we
And
can't
the
hear
yaoi
you.
version, of course.
Yeah, the yaoi version too. Yeah. The
Mhm.
secret,
That's-
the secret one to pay. That's in the source code of the upload file. Like it's not there originally, but
But
to
it
pay
should be.
wrote a yaoi version. Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
like an ARG. He left it to be
Yes,
It's the
found.
moth dream.
Ah.
Moth dream.
The opposite of butterfly dream.
Hmm.
You know what? Totally great considering their April Fool's joke they pulled on us. If anybody wants to make that visual novel a thing, please. Or sorry, dating sim. Oh, Zoc again!
Another one.
Thank you
Ah,
so
that's
much!
committed.
This.
Committing.
You have
Thank
now-
you. Thank you.
Gotten us $30
It's gonna happen.
closer. Thank you.
Yes.
That's a
He
whole
has so much
3%.
to do.
That is. We are now at
That's strong.
669.
69%.
Nice.
Base.
Hey.
Base.
Oh, we're so bad. We're so in this.
Oh, Mickey, don't even remind Kyle's of that. She was devastated when that wasn't real.
It had
Oh
to,
yeah, I
like-
saw that.
It's Subaru.
I saw the English subtitles for it today, and I almost cried. Do you know how badly Reinhard looks so sweet? I would. The replayability in that is
Yep.
insane. And being Amelia, it was meant to be. Katakawa, you can
Oh,
suck my
it's-
fucking dick.
It's doable,
You hear it here
Kyle.
first.
It is. If I had money, I'd pay.
You commissioned someone?
I would. Oh my gosh, if I was a rich bitch, you better believe I would have 1,000,001 ReZero things queued up and ready.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Remif guy.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I would partner with him.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
The Ferris
Be
line.
me if I win the lottery.
Yeah.
Best use of minions ever.
You know, that family's broken too. All right, everybody ready? And narrator Kun, you are all set to read?
hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's see.
I-
I think I won't put.
I
up a
almost
background
defaulted
thing.
to our whole spiel about making sure you have your own footage. I'm so used to saying that on Wednesdays.
Make sure you have your own footage. Support the official release. Press play on go. Not
No
today.
more ReZero Wednesdays as well.
Now we're the ReZero
You will-
Wednesdays. Strap in.
Yeah, we fill in the
Yes,
void.
we are. This is season 4, after all.
It is.
Yeah.
Yay, 4 chapters a week. We're grinding.
We leaked
should.
season 4 early.
Ayo, season 4 leaks.
That would have been another good April Fool's candidate for the anime only. It's just loads of red arrows and circles. Yo, season 4 leaked early?
Question mark, question mark, question mark. What?
Nani?
And that's just like our dialogue over an animatic.
Mhm. Look,
gotta be
those
like a
can
stick
sometimes go
figure.
hard.
Hey, we love animatics here.
It's gonna be a stick figure animatic though, just to make sure
Ooh.
it's of the finest of quality.
Oh, of course. Nothing
of course, yeah.
better.
No, I'll bust my Connect out and mocap the whole thing.
Oh my
Damn.
god!
Oh, no.
Hell yeah. Do you mean the Connect like the Xbox
All right, so-
Connect?
Yeah, one of my
Holy shit.
fellow students, my senior year of my software development degree, did like a whole thing with using the Xbox Connect as a motion tracker. To,
That's
actually
crazy.
Model someone moving around.
That's
Mhm.
so smart. Time to go steal my dad's.
I think he sold it to NASA.
Holy crap.
Free money.
Free money. All right.
All right, everyone have our chapter up.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yes, Subaru, you can read your lines well enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, take us away, Al.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Arc 6, Chapter 9 Breakthrough Sand Time. The first day of the Auguria Sand Dunes conquest finished immediately after sunset. Once the dead of night arrived, the longest of the 3 sand times that blew per day would arrive. If they forced their way through that miasma-laden sand, their bodies would be ruined, and there was the possibility of losing their path. If they were even unable to see the landmark that was the Pleiades Watchtower, then it would be wise to sit back, spending a peaceful night regaining their strength, restoring their spirit for the following day.
Now that I think of it, will the Wish Beast countermeasures work while you're sleeping too?
Of course! Having your butt chewed by animals you brought is such a stupid thought that it's not even funny!
Aware of the menace the wish beasts of the Auguria Sand Dunes presented, Subaru was somewhat, or rather, quite unsure of them. Laughing at his timidness, Meili was proud. She appeared to be in a good mood ever since the sand earthworm incident, perhaps because she had proved her worth. Subaru understood that getting her in a good mood had benefits to their lives' safety, so from here on out, he wished to be serious about dealing with that too. Anyhow, night had fallen. Subaru and the others had positioned themselves in the middle of the sand dunes, in a sandy plain with a good field of view, and had begun the preparations against the sand, with a dragon carriage at the core. Having said that, they did not need that many preparations. Putting aside how the responsibility weighed on one person, the method really was simple.
Alright, Amelia Tan! Sorry for always relying on you, but please!
Okay. Make sure to move away a bit. Take this!
Amelia let out a listless yell and used her magic, just like when she had erected a tower of ice. Then, a wall of frost formed on the east side of the halted dragon carriage's cover, which would act as defense against the sand wind, shutting out the sand entirely. There was no worry about the ice melting, and it would likewise protect them against petty witch beasts. It looked and felt cold, but after their eyes closed, it would work well enough.
I cannot help feeling uncomfortable because we are always being spoiled by Amelia Sama's powers.
It's fine. I said it before, didn't I? Subaru and Julius will be the ones doing their best while we're on the move. Also, I've said this too, but I am in a really good condition.
Seems like you'd usually start to feel chest pain. That sounds dangerous to me.
Looking at the icy wall, Julius sighed as Amelia flexed her bicep. Gazing at Amelia's soft, white upper arm by his side, Subaru thought that he should pay attention to Amelia's condition. In fact, the miasma-laden air drifting about in the sand dunes did have a particular heaviness to it. That heaviness had a vague effect on Subaru's body, and it seemed to also have an effect on Beatrice and Julius, both taciturn. It could be possible that Anastasia and Ram being quiet inside the dragon carriage was not unrelated. On the other hand, Amelia and Meili seemed to be in good condition, Meili being the same as before. He did not believe that they had common traits, but he should be vigilant for the appearance of any extreme effects, although, truth was, he wished to get out of the sand dunes as fast as possible.
Impatience is forbidden, although I cannot say I understand why you want to rush over the path.
Beckoning a silent Subaru, Julius gazed up at the eastern sky blocked by ice. Subaru felt that he had been seen through, so he snorted his nose and turned away from the ice wall. Then, Patrash came near Subaru, pressing her snout on his shoulder. Subaru felt her doing it over and over, and he gave a bitter smile.
So, are you gonna try and calm me down too?
It's not like I want to, in fact. It's not like the initiative has been taken either, I suppose.
Beatrice pushed his back and turned away, although previously she had been looking up at him meaningfully. Subaru scratched his head, wondering if his irritation was plain for all to see. Looking over, Subaru found Amelia looking at him with kind eyes. As their lines of sight crossed, she waved towards him ever so slightly. Suddenly embarrassed, Subaru clapped his hands.
Alright! A place to sleep has been secured thanks to Amelia Tan, so let's get ready for tomorrow. The sand time will end at dawn. So, until then, let's...
Before that, Ram needs her treatment.
True. That's right. Okay then, I'll be depending on Amelia Tan and Bayako for that.
He attempted to go through the topics quickly and was halted by Amelia, trying to follow the daily routine. Amelia and Beatrice nodded at Subaru's anticipations, and the treatment began with the men being put outside. Also, as for why Subaru and Julius had been put outside once the healing begun, one could tell that it had started because of the voice that could be heard faintly, even through the door. Ram's enthusiastically quivering voice sounded like she was enduring pain. A faint light arose inside the dragon carriage. The treatment was being administered with the use of mana that combined 4 attributes. Mana was being poured into the wound inflicted from having lost her horn. Ram's appearance pitiful. On one hand, though, it really did feel like something erotic somehow. Therefore, after the treatment had been witnessed the first day, they refused to have the men with them during the healing.
I don't get what Roswell was thinking wanting you to do that repeatedly.
In a way, it is definitely an honorable role. Miss Rom is charming and pretty. However, when I think about the obvious manner of who she has eyes for, I honestly cannot be pleased with it.
Roswell should know that too, so I don't know why he is still doing it. In that case, why would he still say that about Ram, if she's so far gone?
People's relationships, even more so when speaking of a relationship between a man and a woman, cannot be assessed from the outside. To put it another way, I'm pretty sure the first time you and I met was not an enjoyable experience. Or at least, I do not think I would be going alongside you in this life-threatening journey.
Well, I guess so.
Hearing the lovely voice from behind him made Subaru's face faintly turn red as he scratched his nose. Julius had a nonchalant face, but despite that, it was still a very strong stimulus to any innocent youth. But still, they could not get away from there and get sniffed out by dangerous witch beasts. They had no choice. It was necessary.
You look quite conflicted, Natsuki-kun.
While Subaru was quietly listening, the breath that blew against his ears made him jump. He lost his posture and tumbled onto the sand, then saw the figure of Anastasia coming around from the other side of the dragon carriage. Julius, who had been alarmed by Subaru's panic, lost his composure at the sight of Anastasia, and he looked at the rolling figure.
You got a little too surprised. It was as if you were thinking of something evil.
Huh? It's not like I was thinking of something evil or anything, you know? Yeah, I've got no idea what you're talking about. No, not one bit. So what do you need, Anastasia-san? I'll listen to anything!
You really are bad at fooling people, aren't you? Well, it's fun. Natsuki-kun may be interested in what's going on inside, but I got something important to talk about.
Subaru shook off the dark disdain in Julius's eyes, shot a thumbs up towards Anastasia. Anastasia smiled slightly at that reaction and trekked over the sand in boots, and...
Wow, it's hard to walk. You and Julius seem fine, eh?
I have trained, although I would not go as far to say that it was for this specific occasion.
When you feel unsure of your footsteps, don't walk slowly and attempt to check them. Leave it up to the firmness of your shoe soles and take relatively hard steps. That is the Klein way.
It was the basis of the rough road running style he had learned from the all-purpose butler, Clind, back when he was learning parkour. Anastasia gave an admiring nod at those words, and after that, she lowered the neck of her robe, lower part of her face now showing. She took a deep breath.
I don't get this, sand, but it seems like it's choking me out. I'd like to go somewhere safe from the sand wind as soon as possible and breathe as much as I want.
Agreed. I'd like to take a bath too. My head is already smeared with sand.
He could now understand the reason as to why people in desert areas would wear turbans on their heads. Countermeasures for sand, heat, and cold. It was a reasonable yet inevitable way of life people living on rigorous land had to follow. Subaru too was moderately wrapped in cloth, but it was not enough to protect him from this type of condition.
The bath's another thing we'll have to agree on, huh? Sure would be nice if our dear sage happened to have one in their place.
Right. You don't actually know that much, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Even if Echidna knew the way, it's not like we've ever been inside ourselves.
Anastasia pulled down the neck of her robe even further, the scarf that she always wore now on display. A major premise of this whole deal was that Aridna was the guide for the journey. There was no point in doubting her, but he wished to work out the details.
I can assume that you're going to tell me important things here on out, right?
Of course.
I shall listen gladly.
Anastasia puffed out her slim chest, and Subaru and Julius got ready to listen. In response, Anastasia looked back at the dragon carriage pompously.
Starting tonight, we'll be sleeping in the cart, but you boys will have to take the front seats, you hear? Don't want to go getting any funny ideas just 'cause you're in real tight space with proper ladies now.
Oh, that's enough of that!
Hey, I just thought I'd loosen the tension. Oh well.
It didn't matter at all that they would stay in the same room in the first place. His own lack of courage and the wariness of the other parties were enough for him to understand that. Anyhow, Subaru screaming his inner thoughts was put aside, and Anastasia went into the main topic.
After a full day of moving towards the watchtower, how's it looking?
Even if you ask that, to be honest, the results weren't anything special.
Subaru was puzzled by her question, reflecting about the day that had passed. After arriving at the Auguria sand dunes around noon, letting the sand time pass by, and after that, Subaru and the others spent nearly half the day moving. The sand time that had happened during the afternoon was now behind them, and it was now sunset. As for the results that were had up to this point, they would be...
The tower sure sticks out like the perfect landmark. And Mediatown is doing good with the waypoints too. Also, isn't Maney's power super strong?
The preparations we had beforehand and Subaru's quick thinking were perfect countermeasures against sand time. But the problem is the Pleiades watchtower, and why we cannot see the route up to it, I believe.
Can't see the route?
Subaru frowned at Julius, him having taken over speaking, but having reached a different conclusion. Julius sighed at Subaru, prefacing his speech with,
Oh, did you not notice? There have not been any noticeable flaws. That is so. If things don't degrade from this position, it would be great.
Don't beat around the bush. It's a bad habit. Say it more directly.
Then I shall make it concise. Subaru, have you not noticed anything peculiar about the tower?
Huh?
Julius asked him a question quietly, and Subaru gasped. After that, looking at the watchtower, a mighty majesty that could be seen on the other side of the ice wall, night presence. Even after Julius had pointed out something was wrong, Subaru did not notice any abnormality in the watchtower. Nothing should have been different about the tower at which he had started at the whole day compared to how it had been upon first arriving the sand dunes. Nothing should have been different, surely.
Huh?
It seems that you have noticed. That tower clearly is not getting any closer, nor is it getting any farther. We have aimed at that tower, walking towards it this whole time, but the gap is not closed even slightly.
Just like Julius pointed out, Subaru finally understood that abnormality. The faraway-looking Pleiades watchtower remained there, far away without change, its size such that it felt like it could not be overlooked. There was no sort of change in its appearance.
Oh, no way!
Subaru, I understand your frustration. However, we must be careful.
So, after all the trouble we've been through today, being smeared with sand, and the distance we walked were all a waste, conquering this place is such a pain in the arse!
Yeah.
Subaru kicked the sand at his feet, raising his voice, and Julius was at a loss for words. Squatting on the ground in front of a bewildered Julius, Subaru scooped out sand with his palm with his lips pursed in a pout.
Hey! Are you serious? Now I'm all depressed. All of our hard work up to now has been a waste! Damn, this is the worst.
You don't seem to be as tenacious as I thought you'd be.
Talking like that! While you're seeing me suffering? Can't you tell I'm burned out? If you noticed it too, you should have just said so earlier!
I thought not to say anything until I was sure. Did not wish to discourage you.
This is how you people...
He threw away the sand he had scooped up and stood up while clapping his hands, glaring at Julius from below. Subaru acted indignant.
Can you stop speaking in insinuations? I won't be mad if you guys just say what's on your mind. Instead, let's try to discover new things together. What's up with this attitude of, I'm just going to keep this trapped deep inside?
Sorry.
Don't feel afraid to tell me even the smallest thing. I said this to Ram, even though she's like an unmovable object. Do I have to go around lecturing everyone?
Subaru was dumbfounded by his colleague's lack of attentiveness over the company's virtues. Report, contact, consult. Having won this rare victory over the greatest of knights, Julius looked introspective, which Subaru took as something good amidst the series of inconveniences, and turned to Anastasia.
So, I guess it's safe to assume you know what's up with this phenomenon.
I apologize that I didn't explain anything. Or rather, I felt confident about my suspicions all day. It helped if you thought of it like that.
Just make sure to start when you do have those suspicions. That's all. So, what's going on?
He stuck out his tongue at Anastasia, who had stated her justifications, and prompted her to continue. When he did, Anastasia proceeded with,
Please don't get surprised when you hear this.
and
This sandy plain between the dunes and the watchtower. That space probably distorted.
The space is distorted?
In other words, contrary to what it seems, it ain't connected to land. We continue walking straight ahead, and no matter how long we walk, we'll never get there.
Anastasia nonchalantly clarified the shocking fact, and Subaru could not keep his jaw from dropping in shock. Anastasia, or rather Aridna, should have known it from the beginning, considering how it sounded like the matter had been relayed by Aridna.
So, I guess that's why Reinhard and all the other challengers couldn't reach it.
The destination itself can be seen there. All you need to do is close the distance, especially if they've been frantically attempting to escape the witch beast den along the pass. They'd probably want to go further.
For some reason, he thought of the regret of those adventurers who had broken down halfway through the journey, their goal in plain sight, just in range. This obstacle, which hampered those with the watchtower as their goal, was an obstacle that even Reinhardt had given up on conquering. The distortion of space and the end of the sand sea that could actually not be reached. Perhaps that was how it worked.
How do you defeat that?
Ain't you kind of missing the point by asking about defeating and not defeating it? This is a natural trap created by the miasma. There's no kind of unnatural power going on here.
A natural trap? This?
On rare occasions, nature would set up traps that seemed to have an intrinsic murderous nature to them. The frequently seen mirages at deserts and the snow-covered roads that border the cliffs of areas with heavy snowfall. Thinking about it generally, humans could get killed by things like bottomless swamps or even being pulled in by rising tides. However, as one would expect, the existence of this watchtower was...
This is a trap made by nature? That's an exaggeration, isn't it?
Well, Pleiades' watchtower was originally built at a place where this phenomenon occurs. If you think about it that way, it is not unnatural. Also, it makes sense.
Does that make sense? In what way?
Do not misunderstand. Yes, the sand dunes lead to the watchtower, but it's not the only location in its midst. If it was, what would the watchtower be here for?
Julius chided Subaru's rude tone and urged him to think. An answer came to mind immediately after that question. The purpose of the watchtower they were targeting was to serve as a seal for the witch's shrine. Likewise, these sand dunes, an unsurpassable trap, would be highly effective in deterring the witch cult with their aim to revive the Witch of Envy. He really could not blame anyone for that.
Okay, I get it now. Anyway, it's not really a pressing issue on how or why that tower was built there. The problem is something else. The problem is how to break through this distorted space.
You can't just think about cutting off the source of the problem. The land's just like that here.
Okay! I've understood the terrain and its peculiarities. Next, let's look for a weakness. Since you've volunteered to be a guide, naturally, there's a way out, right? A loophole?
Ain't a point in yapping if there were none. Though, sketchy putting it like a loophole.
Anastasia smiled wryly at Subaru, who continued to pressure her, the former displaying a pompous sort of attitude. After that, she nodded at Subaru and Julius, who gazed at her and spoke.
During sand time, there should be a moment where the space connected to the watchtower collapses. We'll go through there and enter the real sand sea. That's the condition of breaking through, you see?
The attacks in the sand dunes that had started on the following day had a series of consecutive difficult situations. The condition for the path to the watchtower that Anastasia had disclosed must be shared by everyone on the crew. In other words, most of their traveling would be useless until sand time, and meanwhile, the expectation would be too much for them. However, that anxiety was...
Even when the key sand time comes, whether we can reach the opening will depend on luck. Think about it that way. Staying still doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Also, if we always stay in one place, the animals nearby might remember our smell. I'll be fine. But if by any chance you lose me or something, then they'll chase you somewhere.
Those were Anastasia and Maylee's opinions on how to survive without problems. The former's opinion was somewhat unreliable, but the latter's opinion touched upon the fact that their life was on the line. It was not something that he wanted to think about too much, but turning away from danger would be mere cowardice. Daring to be truly courageous, facing fears and nonetheless fighting, was something invaluable.
Right, Amelia-tan?
Yeah, right.
Amelia-sama, perhaps it's best not to take this too seriously. That's the face when you're being, well, a bit foolish.
Subaru regularly exchanged words with the people inside the dragon carriage. His motivation had not declined one shred, even after hearing the last day's leg of the journey was awash. They had a lot of flexibility due to the food and water that they had procured at Marula. There was nothing to be anxious about, as the effects of the miasma were being alleviated by Amelia and Beatrice's spiritual arts.
Actually, I'm getting stressed out just from knowing how many days I have to work at this.
Subaru, spit out the sand in your mouth. Don't swallow it, in fact. Even if it's not a lot, it's sand with miasma, I suppose. If you deal with it improperly, you'll have a painful experience later, in fact.
Beatrice warned Subaru, who had become completely used to the feeling of tasting sand in his mouth and therefore less cautious. In Subaru's arms, as was usual whenever they would ride dragons, Beatrice took out a water container from his pocket.
Look, I'll rinse your mouth, I suppose. You can't bathe, so at least clean your mouth, in fact.
Hey! Come to think of it, you're clean even without taking a bath.
Most of Betty's body is made of mana, I suppose. Naturally, that means she's always perfectly clean, in fact. Being cute at all times in all places. Well, that's just a given for someone like Betty, I suppose.
Ooh. Yeah, cute.
Beatrice pouted at Subaru's apathetic response, but he patted her head and he played with the drills that had been pushed into his robe. They were done in braids today.
Oh, we've discovered a group of witch beasts. Again. They only seem like mere animals when they keep this far away from us like that.
If you move away from me and come close to them, people like Oni-san will get bitten in a flash. It's strange, but all the animals around here stare at Oni-san.
He brought Patrash near the dragon carriage while looking at the group of witch beasts that were gathering at a place off to the side of their path. Maylee, while looking at Subaru with a curious expression, murmured,
That's weird.
It seemed like the girl did not know about the witch's lingering scent that surrounded Subaru. Subaru thought that it was of the same nature as the miasma, but it looked as if he would never be able to understand its true essence. Anyhow, it appeared that the scent had not faded away from Subaru, nor had its property of luring witch beasts disappeared.
Oh! Could that be a nostalgic witch beast? Ram! Take a look!
It's really discomforting how you talk about that, like it's a part of Rom's memories. I only remember that it was painful for both Barasu and Rom.
A pack of devil dogs that were looking at them from afar were the same kind of disastrous witch beasts that had attacked the former Roswell residents. Ram acted harsh towards Subaru, who got enthusiastic unintentionally.
Don't say that! That doggy there is like a matchmaker for me, you and Rem! If they hadn't been around, I might not turn out to be the man I am today. When I think about it, we're actually on good terms. No, wait! It is bad! It was horrible! Right?
Stop killing your own enthusiasm by yourself. Watching it elicits pity. Listening to it elicits pity. And thinking about it elicits misery.
Stress caused by the pack of witch beasts a year prior had been revived. Sighing at an heated up Subaru, Ram quickly shut the dragon carriage's window, thus concluding their conversation. Unfortunately, it could not be helped. That incident from a year ago, inside of Ram, had been painted over into a state which had been resolved in cooperation with Subaru, with the absence of Rem's existence. In truth, it was unclear how they would be able to take on the witch beasts without Rem, but it seemed that the amnesia was something she did not feel uncomfortable with. If the memory of Rem inside of Ram were revived, then the missing parts would be filled, and topics would mesh well too. He would think about it once the time came, although he felt like he'd only get insulted.
Whoa! Sandtime is crazy! Sandtime is ridiculous! This sandwind is out of control!
I tried to make the ice as clear as I could, but, you tell me if it's not working?
Yeah, this is already pretty much a disaster! So much for the ice solves everything theory!
The crucial sand time had arrived. They rushed into the sandwind, piercing it, looking for this distortion of space that would lead them to the tower, but they were struck by the sand's unimaginably overwhelming fury. What had been a particularly bad miscalculation was that the ice wall had been utterly defeated despite having supported Subaru in the team's venture with an imposing performance this far.
It's an ice wall, and yet the absurd sand is sticking onto it, so I can't see what's in front of me at all! Or rather, receiving such a strong wind with this wide area of ice is beyond suicidal!
Huh? What? Subaru, did you say something? I can't hear you at all.
The wind is too strong, and this is beyond suicidal!
You want to die? No, you can't! Don't lose courage!
Why are we even talking? Ah! Sand violently blasted in my eyes!
Did you say something? Say it again! Subaru! Subaru!
I'll say it again! Such a spotted act is...
Subaru!
The sandwind was already a gale and was now already close to being a sandstorm. Although Subaru and the others were serious challengers, their interactions sounded like a comedy act. Even having a thin plate of ice with the sole purpose of protecting themselves against the thin sand blowing against them from head-on was nothing but suicidal. In fact, it would have been better to cover their entire body in cloth and make themselves small to mitigate the wind striking them. However, the bottleneck in that strategy was...
Keep going! Hang in there, Gian! We can only rely on your horsepower!
The ground dragon took the sandwind head-on as it charged down. They had already spent a few days conquering the dunes, and the bond that had been forged between them was expressed in the name it was being called. To put it briefly, the ground dragon of the Gyrus species was pulling the dragon carriage, was named Gian. Its tenacity held the key to break through the sandwind. After all, the dragon carriage the girls were on did not have any way to diminish its size against the wind. As a result, there was no other choice for Gian but to pull the dragon carriage with all its strength towards the wind.
Doing nothing but forcing ground dragons does not suit my style, but we depend on you now!
Hey! Hang in there! I don't want to go back to looking that unending sandy plain again!
Julius cheered on Gyan, him holding onto the bridle, as well as Meili, who sat next to him. Precisely because they were the ones viewing its tenacity closer than anyone else, they could believe in that underlying strength, sending words its way. Amelia and the others could not even open the small window in the wind, but they were sure that praying with worry inside the dragon carriage was a sure bet. As one countermeasure for the sand, Amelia had been asked to tamper with the dragon carriage with ice. Even though a sand protective board of ice had been stuck onto the front, it could not handle the fierce onslaught of the wind. Thus, Subaru brought his last resort, formed somewhere in between a wing formation capable of directing the wind and a sharp shape, a spear that would pierce fiercely into the sand wind had been fashioned.
It's an application of a mini four-wheel drive. Reducing its weight to make it light would be fatal. So, I couldn't do that. But I did what I could. All right, go! Gun gear! Penetrate!
Jan had stepped forward with fierce footsteps in response to Subaru's shout. The dragon carriage that had become a spear bit and tore through the wind, closing in on them with a frontal assault, escaping, moving forward and forward. Before long, the dragon carriage crowned with the name of the spear of a god burrowed into the scar of the bitten and torn wind, gouged out the sand's tyranny, and then it breaks through.
Huh?
The moment they escaped the sand wind, what swept over Subaru was extremely sharp silence. The wind that had made such an intense amount of noise close to their ears, the sand that had struck them as if to shave their whole bodies, and the miasma that excited activity from the witch beasts, all vanished as if it were all an illusion. Sand time had certainly an abrupt ending, but it was even more resonating. The vigor of the wind intermingled with the sand gradually weakened, and before long it slowly dissipated like being pulled in by waves, and nothing but the peculiar smell of the sand was left. However, at only this instance did that occur. In other words, that was the proof that the ending of this sand time was a special case. Feeling thirst in his mouth, Subaru gyrated. Upon doing so, he laid his eyes upon Julia and the others, who, much like Subaru himself, were dumbfounded upon having escaped the sand wind. Of course, them being there meant that Gyan and the dragon carriage were likewise.
Julius.
Oh,
Subaru called out to him, and Julius, all tensed up, gave him an acknowledging gesture with his chin. After that, and before any other thoughts, they both raised their hands at each other, clenching their fists, and displayed their mutual admiration for breaking through sand time. To Julius's side, Meili was seen wiping the sand off her body, then thanking Gyan. This journey's most valuable player was definitely Gyan. They had to show their gratitude to their heart's content, their appreciation, and reward it as much as possible. But
Leave that for later! We broke through! We did it! We did...
What the? You're always being so loud right in my ears, I suppose! Gah!
Subaru's overjoyed grin was cut short from a thrust of Beatrice's palm against his jaw. The clean hit sent his vision spinning, and he toppled right off Batrash, landing flat on the sand. He ended up with a mouthful of the stuff. Spitting it out, Subaru sprang back up immediately and immediately span towards Beatrice in protest.
What the heck was that for? I'm just happy, and you decided to go full sneak attack. I totally just wanted, like, a lot of sand for the shark.
You were holding Betty and still making a racket all on your lonesome, I suppose. Going on about downbursts and off-roading, and gene ships and burning souls. None of it made any sense, in fact. My ears have been ringing this whole time, I suppose.
Beatrice turned to Subaru, and she complained to him vehemently while mounted on Batrash. Subaru had various things to say about it, but he could certainly not deny the feeling that he had been gotten... Subaru had various things to say about it, but he certainly could not deny the feeling that he had gotten a bit excited and shouted a bunch of random terms. What the hell was a Goongear?
Anyways, we broke through the sun time safely. First, let's celebrate that. Come on, Banzai!
Banzai, I suppose.
Putting aside Beatrice's sulky attitude, they certainly had broken through the sand obstacle. Giving a few pats to Batrash's neck, as she had done her best, he showed his gratitude for the braveness of the beloved dragon that did not show tiredness on her galled face. After that, Subaru rushed up to the dragon carriage, and to share his delight...
Oni-san?
Huh? What's wrong? You can be a little happier too.
Shut up.
Meili stopped Subaru, him trotting, her sharp words flying towards him as she turned around and looked his way. What was included in them was a clear warning about danger. Subaru was not enough of a fool to mistake what that meant. In response to Subaru's silence, Meili nodded while putting a finger on her mouth, and she slowly pointed towards the front with her free hand. Subaru, Julius, and Beatrice were lured by that movement and gazed on ahead. Beyond the sandwind they had faced during the sand time, the distorted sand sea up to the watchtower had been cleared. Thus, the watchtower silhouette looming before him was evidently clearer and larger in comparison to how it had been up until now. It was possible to think that there was now a definite distance until their goal. However...
What's that?
Colorful flower beds were spread in front of Subaru and the others, covering the sandy soil that led to the watchtower.
And that's the end!
Woohoo!
What a fun chapter.
Ooh.
Before Misery.
It was. Yes,
Lots of
I felt
silly
very
chapters.
silly. But yes, very fun.
Good job, good job.
I had to mute my mic to stop from laughing like 5 times that chapter.
Oh my
That's
god, Connor, I was not expecting
like-
that ram moan, and I'm so sorry, I guffawed a little too loud. I had to like choke myself out with my hand. That was insane.
What got me was the dinosaur Guian roar.
hilarious.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the double
We totally have to redo that one because I went partway through.
I didn't hear it on my end, at least.
Oh, thank God.
piano.
Here, I'll set that up for you. Has she?
Well, you know, the good part is that it's a funny chapter, so it's almost fitting.
Bless up.
Oh, green strap inside the staff lounge.
I hate how much of an idiot Subaru is. It's so difficult to act like I have sand in my mouth.
Yeah, he just doesn't spit it out.
Oh my gosh, I forgot my Betty voice, so like I changed it 6 times. I think I finally got it at the end.
I think she just had enough of Subaru. It makes sense.
There we go.
I
Yeah.
suppose.
I'm slowly dying of poisoned sand poisoning.
Poison, sand, poison.
Yeah,
Good English.
There were so many times where, like, the dialogue before my narration, I had me, like, crack up, and I had to like, stifle it before speaking, and that caused me to flub the next line.
It was a very funny
Yeah.
chapter. It was also
It was.
It was also funny fourth wall break for Subaru to get annoyed at Aridna and Julius for not telling him this important information, only because obviously it's plot relevant for it to happen there and not before.
yeah, exactly.
So it's like,
Wait, why are you?
there was no good reason for you to not tell me this. What the fuck?
What's wrong
Why
with
are
you
you-
guys?
Oh,
I think it was very
that
funny.
was good.
Okay, thanks.
Brett, let me just add you in. I keep forgetting to re-add you into this one. There you go. Now you can come in anytime you want.
Wait, hello. Okay, there we go. I see my screen.
There we go. Sorry about that delay. I'm BRBing real quick, and then I'll be ready to go.
Woo!
That was
Subaru was
the
funny.
noise caught me so off guard.
Subaru, like, I always forget how much I appreciate his comedic moments because they always bring so much levity and fun to the series when it's needed.
Yeah.
Genuinely,
Yeah,
all those
but-
times with sand in his mouth, though, I had to mute. I was laughing every time you did it.
Yeah.
At
was-
first, I'm
that
like,
was-
did he take a bite to eat before taking a line? That's so unlike
Yeah, I was like,
him.
wait, is he eating something? And, like, I skipped to the next line. It's, oh, he has fucking sand in his mouth. This fucking guy.
Jesus. I think
It was
I think
the
what was
most fun
funnier was
responding
the-
to. Go ahead.
No, the funniest thing was just Amelia and Subaru's dialogue. I just burst out laughing.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you two shouting at each other was so
Yeah.
funny.
It's-
What? What?
It's even funnier because we're literally just like a blanket away from me in the booth to her on the computer desk. So it's just like I'm shouting in the opposite direction to where she actually is. So my brain was very confused for a second. I was like, "What the fuck?"
There's thunder in my mouth.
I think my favorite line to do there, honestly, was the one with Beatrice where I'm coughing up sand as I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Why did you do that?
I feel so bad for her that she's just been see him shout it right into her
Is
ear this
it?
entire
Yeah.
time.
Like imagining super, like reading the narration of just, oh, he's been shouting this the entire time. Okay, that's hilarious.
Gundams, trains, and tanks.
Also, for
My
how,
four-wheel drive.
for how genre savvy Subaru is, he does never understand when he is raising his own self-death flags by drawing attention from like fucking 50 miles away in this very open desert where sound can fucking travel. Like,
Look, man, he's just having a good time.
Yeah, it's funny. Come on.
yeah, this is gonna go
He's just
so
having
well.
a great time. That was awesome.
We did
Oh
it,
god,
we
poor
did
guy.
it.
Can I
I'm
just
being
say-
as loud as possible.
Yeah! Can I just say, Carmen, your melee performance is so bloody good. Like, you are just melee. Like, every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my god, that just fits so well.
Holy shit, melee re-zero?
Shut up. Just the deadpan line for that is so good.
Oh my god, you're
Shut up.
Shut up.
I imagine Subaru
this
initially being like,
man.
"Oh," and then realizing what's going on, going like, oh, fuck.
yeah, what's going on?
Oh, well.
And look,
Thank you
$10
so much,
from
Chilled
Chilled
Ice. It's another percent towards our Love to Fund. We're at 70.2%.
Thank you so much.
Love
Every
you.
percentage
Thank you so
We're
much.
slowly creeping towards it.
Fucking lost it.
Oh, it's gonna,
It's gonna
Everybody
happen.
pitches in 1%.
it will be here.
Theoretically.
It's that's gonna be
Yeah,
a fucking
30 people
wild
watching.
one to record.
Oh my gosh.
It sure will.
Chilled Ice.
And to script out. It's gonna be fun though. Ton of fun.
I think we just broke into the 700. Thank you. Just a little under 300 away.
Sure did.
Thank you kindly.
It's funny that Beatrice is complaining about Subaru not getting the sand out of his mouth and then proceeds to push
Yeah.
him into the sand to get sand in his mouth.
More sad than he did before, like combined. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
we
oh
just
no, I
said
just
something
ate the
about
sand this time. Okay, man.
You okay?
I hope when they animated this for season 4, they show us her with the braided hair. Like I didn't notice at the first one that she actually has a different hairstyle right now.
She got
Yeah.
no braids.
And just tucked them into his jacket to stop him from getting sandy.
The narration being as
Dad
thoughtful,
Baru.
she's yelling at him. Yeah, I got the sand out of my mouth. Ooh, shit.
He's gonna be tasting the sand desert for 2 weeks after that though. That will stay in your mouth forever.
Yeah, sand.
Well, let's see.
ugh.
If you have a mouth forever,
They don't even have floss, right?
that's foreshadowing.
That
It means
grit.
here tastes Satella forever.
Mmm.
But my
It
ass.
does.
This is her BO.
Ugh.
For him to eat
She's
dirt.
stinky. She hasn't taken a shower in forever since
Oh,
she's been in the shrine, and this is the
no.
result.
It's called aura, bruh.
Oh my god.
Oh my
It's
god.
her
You smell
natural
like
musk.
scattered ass.
Why did you say musk?
I was thinking it. I did not want to say musk.
Musky Husky.
Oh
Banished.
god.
Banished to the Ogoria sand dunes.
Ugh.
Girl
Yeah.
rot. Girl rot.
It's like you're going to Brazil, except you're going to
Girl.
the sand dunes.
Didn't even know her.
Welcome to Brazil.
Welcome to Brazil.
Wah, 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 wah.
They have dinosaurs there?
No, I don't know. It just reminded me of Jurassic Park the way you said it. Literally, I don't
Hey,
think.
Welcome.
You know,
I think they have
Brazil.
dinosaurs.
Jan!
I mean, Are the ground dragons, especially Patrichet, not just velociraptors and the like? He even
they're just
compared it to an ankylosaurus last chapter.
They're
True.
pretty.
Yeah.
They're pretty like.
He would be a dinosaur.
I thought there
nerd.
was somewhere like Flanders or something.
Yeah, they're from
Flanders
Flanders.
Poppy
That's
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also Patrichet's name is a reference from a dog of Flanders.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Flanders is the town in which all the
Flanders is
ground
also the
dragons are
town where
bred.
they originate. Yeah. Which is to
Yep.
Pei being like, oh,
Aren't I clever?
I'm so funny.
I like my little pun that I made.
None of my Japanese fans will get this reference.
Yeah, all the Western fans be like,
Only my 2 international fans will get this.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Shaggy! There's more than just 2 of us.
There's 3.
There's 3. Oh my gosh! Wait, Chase, do you have your ringtone on?
Yes.
I
Call
can
him.
your
Call him.
phone.
Hit it.
Our chat reminded me that you have the ringtone.
Oh yes, that's right.
Oh my god. Also, if anyone at home was curious, the reference that Subaru was making there was Odin's spear, Gungnir.
Yes.
I don't know
I
why he was
accidentally
talking
said
about it like he
Gungnir.
was something to write it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't. He's going off. I guess he's living his full, delusion fantasy.
We love a bit of
Sometimes he just be
delusion.
saying stuff.
He's just played one too many D&D campaigns set in his own universe, and he's starting to go a bit kooky.
A little bit kooky. He's been full Chunigo from the start.
He's eating too much miasma sand.
I'm gonna be so real. If I got transported into the world of ReZero, I would be a chuny as well. I would relive that whole time.
I don't know if I'd have enough time to be a Chuny. I think I'd be too busy
guess so.
fearing for my life.
Yeah, I was about to say,
spare time.
if I show up there and I actually have all of the knowledge that I do of the ReZero world, you bet your fucking ass I am finding the most reliable person nearby and just sticking to them.
Awful man.
I don't know if I have
The first
RBD.
question is,
Welcome to my new light novel. I got summoned to another world of my favorite light novel series, but I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah.
So I'm fucked.
So I need to find Otto immediately.
Yo,
what time is it? What time is it? I need to know what arc it is. Sumimasen. Wakimanasen. I don't understand you, bro.
They just say
I don't
Daijoubu desu ka?
understand you.
They just say in Japanese, damn, these foreigners are getting stranger more and more nowadays. They speak a different language now. That's crazy.
That shit's
What is this
Laguna
guy? Beyond the,
Josu desu ka?
from beyond the Great Waterfall? Pfft. Nah.
Is he? Has he invented a new kind of magic? Is he hexing me as we speak? Get out of my store!
Oh, black magic! You must be a witch cultist!
Super Trollin's pulling the Kazuto route, Kazuma route in chat of just inventing everyday things and getting rich off of them.
That's so fucking smart. Honestly,
Bro.
that is what I would do if I was stuck there.
I've once read a ReZero fanfiction where a major part of the plot, and I shit you not, was that Subaru meets Otto early and they start a mayonnaise selling business together.
Okay.
I think that was.
I expected something impressive like the printing press, but mayonnaise works too, I guess.
Mr. Natsuki-kun, we got all these bottles. What do you want to do with them?
Fucking sell them, Otto! Do the one thing you're supposed to do! It's your fucking job! You're so shit at being a merchant,
We have to
Otto!
cook.
I got all this
Otto, we have
oil
to
for
cook.
us. We can use it for
Otto.
the mayonnaise.
Otto, we have to cook mayonnaise.
Look, this is the reason why I never leave my house without my How to Invent Everything survival guidebook.
Oh my
Just in
God.
case I ever get time traveled, isekai, anything happens.
That is extra levels of
Yeah.
precaution, but I respect it, honestly.
And you don't believe in ghosts. What the
You know-
fuck is wrong with you?
Time travel is a real thing that can happen. It's just incredibly unlikely.
When I went on my trip to Japan, every single time I went to the I was kind of just like, okay, maybe. Now, hypothetically, wouldn't it be really funny?
You get your pot noodle,
If
you
I was
have
just
your flip
screwed.
phone, walk out.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Don't blink.
But did you leave a
Don't
cup
blink.
unwashed in the sink? That's a real important question.
No.
That's
Okay,
that's
I'm
the
fine
key.
then. I'm fine.
All right, how we feeling about chapter 10? We ready? We getting into some crazy shit?
Yes.
We good. Am I sounding good?
You're sounding great.
Hi.
Great.
Yes.
I need one more go at Beatrice real quick.
It's Betty, I suppose.
There it is. There she is.
It's I suppose.
Piss, I suppose.
suppose.
Piss, I
Yeah,
suppose.
it's gonna be-
Wolfico there.
Oh my gosh, the community would be up in arms if we brought back a fucking wolf specialty.
I suppose.
Yeah,
In fact,
the voice
attack
actor for a
corgis?
certain character later is just Wolf.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Liliana comes back.
no.
I don't know what we'll do.
No.
It's
Wait,
a possibility. That's all I'm saying. It's a possibility.
Inspiration flashes.
Ugh.
I'm gonna have 6 named chapters again.
No.
Yeah, I was
Please.
about to say, find time for 6 more named chapters. Woo!
Yeah, now we have the Rhapsody of Liliana Masquerade, the Melody of Liliana Masquerade, the Epic of Liliana Masquerade,
The masquerade.
No.
the masquerade.
the Masquerade
Yeah,
of Liliana Masquerade.
The TL.
Liliana Masquerade curtain call.
Oh my god.
Yup, that's a good one.
I
That's
think
cool.
what Tapei should do, just to make my life a billion times easier, is he should make it so he brings her back. But now because everyone loves her in the anime community, he's gonna kill her dead. And it's gonna be
Fucking kills him.
She's gonna
He gives
show
you
up.
the joke chapter, fucking the joke POV
Oh
chapter.
my god! Yes.
So TLDR, if you're new here, before this became like a full voice acted thing, our friend Hollow, who started this with Wolf and Gold, they voiced everyone for like, what'd you guys get up to? Like the early 20s of Arc 5?
Yeah,
and
about.
What'd you say?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, about that. And Wolf played Liliana. And back then we didn't have the anime, so everybody absolutely hated Liliana. And it was a well-known
Everyone
fact.
fucking hates Liliana.
And so the community just fucking loved Wolfiana. And up until we got our new community in, nobody had a problem with Wolfiana. Quite literally, it's a meme roll. And then everyone started getting really mean about it when the new season came out.
I mean, I don't blame them, to be fair.
No, we were sitting and watching the premiere and thinking, "Oh no, she's funny," and
no.
dreading what that was going to mean.
Yeah.
And I would rather die than voice any more Liliana. Thank you very much. I was the narrator. I went crazy.
Thank you for doing that, because if I had to do all of the narrating in that voice, I would no longer be able to voice act Subaru
We
with
wouldn't
my
have
normal
a channel
voice.
anymore.
Yeah, you'd be fully Wolfiana right now.
Well, my voice would be destroyed. The way I have to manipulate my voice to do that specific sort of like nasally high annoying voice just fucking hurts so bad.
Okay, here's the plan. Liliana gets brought back for a joke POV chapter, and then Tappy laughs at us and puts like 5 named chapters for Liliana, but like they're all post-death named chapters.
Jesus Christ.
No, even better, they're each just a sentence.
She lived
And he
as
goes
she
on a
died.
Liliana did not revive.
And he goes on a 5-year hiatus in between each chapter.
No,
That's his April Fool's
no.
joke.
Let
Man,
them catch
these
up.
Liliana chapters are really hard to write. Oh, shit. I gotta get this one sentence.
Yeah, and then he posts on Twitter like nothing's happening. Like season 4 is coming out, and he's just like, yeah, so there's this fun thing that was behind this chapter, and all the comments. Why is it only Liliana chapters?
Even better, he that's how he ends doing the web novel. He's like, I promised you guys that I'd finish the web novel and stuff for all of you, but actually this is how I'm ending the web novel. I'm just doing the light novel and the anime now. Bye-bye!
Oh,
Oh.
God.
Okay, I thought you meant like, oh yeah, no, I just got like a severe case of writer's block. I'm gonna leave the story for now. I don't think I'll ever return to it, but like if I do, I'll keep on doing the Liliana thing. All right, I'll see you all later.
Peace out. All right, before we get too off topic again, we'll save it for after. We ready for chapter 10?
Yeah!
Yes.
Yeah.
Can
All right.
bitch more about Lily
Can't
Donna
wait
after.
for Subaru.
Give
Subaru.
me
Jordan.
1 second. I need to do something real quick.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
Can't wait for Subaru to become
After now,
Subaru.
Dash Liliana after.
Pulls another Arc
God,
6 real
Liliana.
quick. Just take his sweet ass time. You know what? He seems like he's cooking right now. I don't think he wants to stop. I don't think anything could stop him.
Yeah. You don't want to say that because there are things in real life
I
that
should
can
knock on
stop
wood.
people.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah,
I'm
you should
so
knock
sorry.
on wood.
I don't know why I said that like that. That was very stupid of me. I rescind.
Yeah, that's a very
Tapei, I pray for
Oh.
you. Please stay good.
Keep in good health, please.
Please.
Do not.
You know you've just cursed
Yes.
him to get lightning struck
man-
between a crack
Oh
in his
my
window
god.
or something.
I will be the cause of
The
all
man wrote
loss.
like 5 chapters in a week, literally on the toilet. Being in a hospital bed is not going to stop him from writing.
No, it's not.
Why do you write like you're running
Bro
out
could
of
be like, yo, I
time?
lost an arm like Al, but I'm still typing.
He just
He
gets
loses
the
his other
character
arm and he
more.
starts typing with his toes.
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't mean to cause this. Tapei, I'm sorry. Please, I
Yeah,
love
this
you.
is a real
What you-
Amelia moment. It's a true Amelia moment.
True.
Saying something that is completely a death flag for everyone involved.
I'll go throw on my purple contacts and my my Amelia wig, and hopefully he'll just go, "It's okay, princess."
my queen.
I look nothing like
Princessu.
her.
Okay.
All right,
Kyle teammate.
Everyone locked in for chapter 10?
All right.
locked in.
Hi.
Yes.
Locked in, I suppose.
All right, everybody. Arc 6, Chapter 10, Like a Flash. Disturbing the vast land of the sand dunes was a flower meadow with a variety of colors. It was nighttime, and mysteriously, the starlight was not visible in the sky of the sand dunes. The reason why the sky could not be perceived, despite there being no gathering of clouds, was that the miasma enshrouding the space above ground covered this vast sea of sand. That was the explanation given beforehand. It was not clear to Subaru whether the one that had given that explanation had been Beatrice, or Amelia, or Julius. What was clear, however, was that rather than the imperceivable look of the sky, the alarm bell of caution should be directed towards the ground, for the ominous bloom of the flower meadow undefeated in front of the darkness of the night. The vivid, rather venomous flowers were excessively mismatched in the sea of sand.
A flower meadow among the sand dunes?
While voicing it, Subaru noticed that there was an unsettling feeling in the string of words he pronounced, one that he was already aware of. Emerging at the back of his mind was the information gathered in the bar of Mirula. The bartender there, who had lost one of his legs, had spoken of the flower meadows that appeared in the sand dunes. If flower meadows are spotted in the sand dunes, run away at full speed, was what he had said. Because those are the turfs of the ferocious, ugly witch beasts, the courtesan bears.
But even if you say run away at full speed.
Pointing out the weakness in those words, Subaru, while gazing ahead, stepped back. The flower meadow was the territory of a witch beast. That information was beneficial. There was also the mention of immediately running from the ferocious and atrocious witch beast that he was sure to follow. But if there was a problem, it was its scale. Keeping their silence, Subaru and the others, who were lined up in a row, held their breaths. In front of them, having surmounted the menace of sand time, having broken through the distortion of space, what had appeared was the continuous desert leading to the watchtower. Their lines of sight were now filled with a stretching flower meadow. It was, quite literally, dense enough for there to not be a single spot to step on. Springing forth all of a sudden in the desert was the paradise of the flower meadow. There were limits even when it came to shadiness. It was something that they would have avoided even without the warning of the bartender. That was precisely why. If flying through the sky was an option, then they would have chosen that and avoid this without any hesitation whatsoever.
There's no way we can avoid this.
murmuring in a way such that there was no difference between speaking and a hoarse sigh. Subaru aimed his words towards Melee. Under the present conditions, regarding their countermeasures against witch beasts, relying on Melee was an unexpected benefit. Whatever decision she made would determine the outcome, but the girl's face was quite pale as she glared at the flower garden. Blood vanquished from her light-complexioned skin, replaced with a cold sweat. Without the need of any words, it was plain to see that she had quite the negative situation in her hands. Slowly, Petrache, with her massive frame, edged closer. She was unbelievably quiet for such a large beast. Seeing Beatrice's silent command from the perch on the dragon's back. Jump on, in fact. Subaru placed a foot in the stirrup, taking care to make it as quiet as possible as he once again mounted aside his partner. Whether they moved forward or back, Subaru's own feet would be useless against the tide of drowning sand. Though he would steer via the reins, it was Petrache's chunky thighs that Subaru relied on for their swift movement.
For now, it seems everyone is sleeping.
Holding his breath, how much time had they waited for Melee's judgment? After tens of seconds had passed, or to him it felt like it had been nearly an hour, Melee spilled that out, as if whispering. In response, Subaru, with energy draining from his shoulders, brought Petrache closer to the dragon carriage.
That flower meadow is the territory of the courtesan bear. That's the situation, right?
Based on what we were told before, for now that does not seem to be wrong, but it is just the scale is larger than what I had expected.
The difference in scale doesn't seem like something as cute as twice or 3 times, I suppose.
Letting out a single sigh, Subaru and the rest, facing each other, exchanged their thoughts. Julius and Beatrice, too, at the great reception, surpassing their expectations, were in a state of having lost their voices. The one inside the dragon carriage, Amelia, and the rest, their voices of delight after having broken through Sandtime too, had come to a halt, as they were showing their faces through the small window, wondering what had occurred.
Subaru, did something happen? The sound of the sand wind can't be heard anymore.
We did a good job of clearing Sandtime, and just when I thought we had cleared the first hurdle, the second hurdle was standing here immediately waiting for us, as you can see.
As you can see, you say. Ah.
Seeing the clearly visible flower meadow at a single glance through the small window, Amelia's throat froze in shock. She had also heard what the bartender had said. Of course, the information she recollected must have also been the same. Amelia repeatedly blinked her eyes, and beside her, Anastasia and Ram also showed their faces. The two had also gazed at the flower meadow and grimaced at the cruelty of the trials to reach the watchtower.
Even after passing through the sand wind and Sandtime, the obstacles this time are the flower meadows, huh? Anastasia, do you happen to know anything about these courtesan bears?
Guiding the way is my job, and I'd be trouble if y'all expect more than that. But gotta admit, this has been more tricky than I can contend with. What should we do now?
Holding expectations from the opinion of Aridna, she, while shrugging her shoulders, did not seem to possess a plan to overcome the obstacle. Subaru let out a long breath from his nose, and looked at Melee.
Melee, your constitution withstanding, can you push back all of those wish beasts? Right? Plucking courtesan bear after bear out from this meadow?
It's difficult, you know. If it's 10, 20, or even 100, I can take care of them. But more than that, some of the beasties just don't listen to my instructions, I'm afraid.
There's a limit to the number, huh?
There's a limit to the quality of the ask, too, you know? I can't exactly ask too much of the white whale or the great rabbit. The courtesan bears, as well, are all just messed up for me. Totally different from the shadow lion.
Shadow lion? Oh, that large one who showed up at the mansion. Right.
Putting a stop to their conversation about old memories, Subaru considered Millie's opinion and glared at the flower meadow. Countless, a vast paradise of flowers, just as expected. Even an estimate of the number of witch beasts could not be determined, but it was clear that it was easily more than 100, which was Millie's limit.
I'm so sorry I was muted. At the moment, we can say that the choices we have are to either continue or retreat.
Julius lifted 2 fingers and turned his neck towards the silent Subaru. Seeing that, Subaru inhaled.
You know, retreat was never an option. Nothing would be solved. It'd be a waste after clearing the sand time. There's no point in putting it off.
If we dive into a different sand time, we may be able to challenge the watchtower from a different path. Is it not short-sighted to block the path without considering it?
Sand time occurred 3 times a day, and Julius was insisting that one of those times was the answer. Two of the others had escaped from the late night sand time, but there was also the one in the morning and the afternoon. Super wondered if it was possible that choosing a different sand time could lead them to different destinations. He doubted that, however, and gestured his doubt by shaking his head.
Even if we took a different route, there's no way it's just going to go recklessly sail us all the way up to the watchtower. This flower field may be risky, but other places have different obstacles, no doubt. Probably no easy path waiting for a casual stroll.
Indeed. It seems I was a bit overly optimistic after all.
Besides, Melee being here with us against these quarters on Bear's Lair, this might actually be the most viable path. Though, that possibility isn't exactly the best.
This time, excessive pessimism, huh? As always, it is your forte to denounce and uplift, is it not?
Oh, I don't do it on purpose. So, Melee, what's your input?
Harshly telling Julius off, who rounded his eyes at how unfavorable the situation was, Subaru turned towards Melee. Silent, gazing intently at the flower meadow, Melee, at Subaru's words, said, with her gaze cast downwards.
Yeah, the numbers are a bit tough. If you're telling me I gotta, well, I'll give it a shot. It doesn't mean I have to make every one of the bears listen, right?
Not everyone, you say?
To get through the field, we just need to calm down a few of the courtesan bears, right? Like, just the barest of minimums, right? We'll just ask them to scoot, and then they can go rest quietly after that. As long as we don't disturb them too much, I should be able to handle that much.
As if gaining certainty in her thoughts while answering the doubt, strength returned to Melee's voice. At the very least, she had a stance of respecting Subaru's choice of continuing. That was something to be genuinely grateful for. Subaru nodded to Melee and looked at everyone's faces.
I think we should move forward. Regardless, there's not going to be much progress without taking a risk. Running away from a potential problem won't bring potential solutions. That's for sure.
Despite being one who relies on others, you sure do talk big, my lord.
Rem fired bitter words at Subaru, who had suggested to proceed. Receiving her typical words, Subaru let out a, "Oh," and raised his thumb.
In the end, it's definitely all on Melee. If by some chance we do end up provoking the witch beasts, then our lives are left to Amelia Tan, Julius, and Bayako. Sorry, guys! Oh, also, Patricet too. My bad.
He caressed his beloved dragon's head, who had raised her neck up in discontent at having her name absent as one of the members he could rely on. Against that pathetic declaration of Subaru's, Ram, with a frankly astonished expression, shrugged her shoulders.
Your being aware makes it all the more unforgivable. At best, when the time comes, play the role of decoy.
Huh. Hearing that is also pretty nostalgic. You may not remember it, though.
At the words somewhat pertaining to the past, Ram made an anxious face. He had been slapped with words like those by Ram, both in the Forest of the Witch Beast, or on the morning of the day they headed out to the royal capital for the royal selection. With Ram's existence disappearing from our memories, and accompanying memories altered, now, where must have the back and forth of that day vanished off to?
Let's go. To get it back. I don't want to backtrack for even a second. Not anymore.
I agree. I also think it's just as Subaru says.
At Subaru's decision, who hardened his fist, consented Amelia with a gallant expression. She touched the pendant on her neck, and stole the feelings of the spirit sleeping within the large spellstone into her fingers, and then her amethyst eyes earnestly focused on the flower meadow.
Beyond this flower meadow is a key to precious memories. Let's go without stopping. I will definitely make sure to protect everyone. Ain't it a bit too lame to be told that by a girl?
At Amelia's majestic declaration, Anastasia spoke as she looked toward Subaru. He wished to retort with a "shut up." But the truth was, if it did turn out just as Amelia said, he thought that would be the best, as there would be nothing to worry about left. At a glance, the distance of the Pleiades watchtower had shrunk to roughly a few kilometers. Before crossing Sandtime, back when they were only recklessly pushing through the Agoria sand dunes, the tower seemed ever distant, never appearing more or less than 10 odd kilometers away, no matter how they traveled. Compared to that, the difference was staggering. Arrival was close at hand.
But anything and everything comes after escaping away from this nest of the courtesan bears.
Vast fields of flowers stretched endlessly before them, an unnatural sight amidst the barren scape of sand, boldly alerting of something anomalous. These flowers are not the natural plants rooted into fresh soil, rather their stems and bases hovered ever so slightly, revealing an ugly truth. These flowers did not grow from the earth, but from the very flesh of the monstrous beings itself. To escape the territory of the Corson bears, which Melee had instructed Subaru and the others, was simple. Be as silent as possible. According to her remarks, the Corson bears were currently lying dormant. They would not thoughtlessly wake them up, but in exchange for that, it seemed they would not be able to get an idea of the ferocity of the witch beast upon being rinsed from slumber.
Bad little beasties seem most nasty right after they start moving, you know? Heard pitiful white Whaley was put down, but not until it became super vicious and troublesome right after it came out of the fog.
That was the digression Millie spoke of, regarding the white whale. Thinking about it in accordance with that exposition of hers, there had been the exact moment when Subaru and the rest had encountered the white whale at the Lyphaeus Plains. In other words, immediately after I had woken up, had been the worst of timings. Recollecting on that grueling battle, Subaru couldn't help but belatedly pat himself on the back, for it was a miracle they won at all. But that aside,
Naturally, little ones are feisty when waking up. Same whether it's a person, an animal, or one of my little nasty beasties, you know? So, be real quiet, okay? So long as you can manage that, leave the rest to me.
abiding by her strong-willed remarks, Melee commenced the march of the group who had clamped down their breathing. Their battle formation had switched from the one formed for the purpose of overcoming the sand dunes, with the dragon carriage proceeding further behind. Or ahead. Sitting on the coachman's platform, conveying her intentions to the Corson bears, was Melee. In accordance with those aims, Julius drove the dragon carriage further. Petrochet, being operated by Subaru, was running right next to the dragon carriage without leaving its flank. Feeling himself bend and holding his breath, Subaru clutched onto Beatrice's petite form. Her body temperature could be felt, and it seemed that she had stiffened her body, feeling nervous. Looking at the dragon carriage, upon its roof was a figure, one who need not be suspected, for the familiar silhouette was that of Amelia. Noticing Subaru's gaze, Amelia aimed her amethyst eyes towards him and raised her hand. The reason why Amelia was lying in ambush like that upon the roof was so that she could move instantly in case of any issue arose. Though Subaru would have liked her to quietly stay within the dragon carriage, but with the support of Julius' spiritual arts gone, the only ally capable of long-range attacks was Amelia. It wasn't as if Beatrice couldn't do it herself if pushed, but a single large blow would exhaust Subaru's reserves. It was a part of Subaru's inferiority complex that, in terms of strength, he had to depend upon others for protecting him, even though he should be protecting. If that had been the case, if there had been no need to do so, maybe even Rem, the weakness of thinking that way, was always present within Subaru. As such uncompromising emotions beyond his control began to rise, the back of Beatrice's head pushed up his jaw. At Subaru's surprise, Beatrice snorted her nose. Focus on what is in front of you right now, was what she must have meant. Looking overhead once again, Amelia, too, had pointed her finger towards Subaru, and he understood that she was urging for similar caution. Unable to verbally express either compromise or understanding, he exhaled a deep sigh. The truth was that he wanted to slap his cheek and change his feelings, but that could put his life at risk, an action that could prove to be deadly. And practically at the same time as Subaru's usual detour thoughts gave rise to this resolution, the party's vanguard arrived at the flower meadow.
Move.
At once, Gian halted, pulling the dragon carriage, and Meili's faint voice slipped into the creaking sound of the wheels and was thrown towards the flower meadow. At first, there being no response to Meili's call, Subaru gritted his molars.
Move.
Once again, Meili called out the order. Even still, indeed, no change was born in the flower meadow. In the vexing stalemate, Subaru's stomach lining started to grumble with something similar to itchiness, and with that distortion, the ground, as if truly being stripped off, in the flower meadow arose. Without thinking, looking straight at the form of the witch beast, Subaru's throat seized up. The witch beast, called the courtesan bear, befitting of its name, possessed a figure like that of a bear. However, it definitely was different from the bears in Subaru's recollection. Far too different. The courtesan bear possessed a stature perhaps around 2 to 3 meters. Its legs were short. In exchange for that, its arms were long enough to drag on the ground. Its arms were thick, visibly concealed under black fur, and it was possible to find claw-like nails growing at the ends. From the rear to the armpits of that body, there existed vivid flowers swaying in an impressive fashion, but observing the witch beast from close proximities, one's eyes tended towards the front rather than the rear of that body. Though its physique was concealed by black fur, creeping about that body was not body hair. Closely packed, wrapping the body, were the finely jumbled together roots of the flowers. They appeared as if blood vessels were floating on the skin. The minute roots covering the body of the witch beast. On the body, covered with tightly packed roots, the area which the roots did not reach were abnormally parched, and both the flesh and skin had withered. Its facial features, its cranium, had reached limited dehydration to the point where it was visibly obvious, and its circular, bulging eyeballs were bloodshot, wielding hatred for everything in this world. That seemed to be as if the flowers whose roots were pasted upon its bodies were slurping on its life force. The courtesan bears could not coexist with the flowers. Clearly, the flowers were sapping away its life. The witch beast, which gave off an unbearable feeling of revulsion merely looking at it, following Meili's words with sluggish movement, slowly pulling out its body from the ground as the roots got uprooted from the desert from which nothing could be absorbed. 1,000 sounds of snapping limitlessly followed. for opening up space just so that the dragon carriage could pass. The moving course and bears reached 100 and some, and as if knowing no end, their numbers continued to increase.
Ew.
Faintly, Julius's sigh was audible as the dragon carriage resumed proceeding. Julius, in that state, his body hair standing up due to the spectacle in front of his eyes, must have failed to weather it. Attached to the rear of the dragon carriage, two of the others also entered the path bloomed open by the courtesan bears. The moment Subaru stepped into the territory of the courtesan bear, an overwhelming perfume of floral aromas assaulted his senses. It was nothing like the malodorous scent of the sand earthworm prior. Yet the swirling array of saccharine scents became overwhelming, almost violent in their intensity. The invasive fumes bled into his sinuses, catching his mind into a burning inferno. The gears in his head started to stick and slow, as if sapped by the sensation. This was not a joke. Subaru was beginning to feel his head spin and even throb with a new headache. Having cursed a sand wind prior, he for once thought it was much preferable to the current sensation. It might even just sweep away this cloying, poison-like scent clinging around his body, and for that, he'd welcome it gladly. As if having noticed something, Beatrice pulled Subaru's sleeve. Looking at her, wondering what had come up, she was incessantly concerned regarding something behind them. Turning around at the gesture, whilst keeping that repulsive premonition in mind, he understood the meaning behind her reaction. The gap Melee had chanced to allow their passage was now steadily sealing behind them. As soon as the dragon carriage and Patrichet had been led through, the flowers at the outer edges slowly fit back into place behind them, restoring the meadow to its original state. It seemed that the order Melee gave would have completed, and thus resulting in a return to their previous positions, resuming their dormant state. Even if Subaru had been thinking about going back, stopping midway was hardly an option. Amidst this coven of witch beasts, Subaru didn't have a single desire to return a step backwards in the den, not even as a bit. The moment immediately after he had thought that, the dragon carriage's advance came to a halt. Looking at the front, while wondering what had happened, the reason behind the dragon carriage's pause was explicit. A lone courtesan bear, in front of the dragon carriage, had gotten up, was standing still, and turned its hollow eyes toward the two people in the coachman's seat. With that one making strange movements, the movements of the courtesan bears in the vicinity started to change too. The feet of the courtesan bears who had, until now, placidly and obediently made their way, stopped, and as if tracing the actions of the one staring at the dragon carriage, their gazes accumulated on the dragon carriage. This is bad, was the intuitive realization Subaru had. Looking back, they had already covered several hundred meters since entering the flower meadow. With the pathway behind plugged up, it was clear that they had been surrounded by the courtesan bears from all directions. Their numbers were in the hundreds, possibly even the thousands. A violent difference in numbers. Thinking that, his gaze entwined with Amelia's, who was on top of the roof. Amelia was looking down on the courtesan bear in front, and was puzzled over what kind of action she should perform to deal with it. If the outbreak of a fight could not be avoided, like they had done until now, then clearing the frontward of the dragon carriage with Amelia's magic and running through was the optimal way. However, she did not want to mistake the timing and rush things too fast.
Shh.
In front of Subaru and the rest, who were puzzled about what to do, the one with utmost composure was Melee. Putting a finger on her lips, she calmed the indecisive Subaru and the others beforehand. Following afterwards, she pointed the finger she had held on her lips towards the front, and scowled at the courtesan bear in front of her. Melee extended her finger, a sharp clicking sound escaping her lips, a noise akin to what one might do when coaxing a small kitten. If the target had been a kitten, it would make for an endearing sight, but against this monstrous beast, there was nothing quite so comforting about it. guided like a conductor with a rhythmic sway of her finger alongside the continued clicking of her tongue, the Corson bear's gaze slowly shifted. No longer fixated on the two riders atop the coachman's seat, his attention was drawn to Melee alone, and on that wagging digit. At the same pace, ensuring that the Corson bear's focus was on the finger, Millie slowly swung her hand, which had her fingers pointed towards the right of the dragon carriage. Lured to the movement of that arm, the Corson bear that had brought the dragon carriage to a standstill turned his face towards that and moved, taking a single step in that direction. Almost out of reflex, Super let out a sigh of relief, let it leave his throat at the sight of the Corson bear's effort of moving away from the carriage. Amelia, and maybe True, who had stiffened their bodies up, also loosened their shoulders in relief. When the one who had caused the standstill moved, the other Corson bears attempted to return to their own movements of distancing themselves. At the same pace as before, the march to the flower meadow resumed. Was how it was supposed to be. At that moment, the thread of tension snapped, and nobody could be condemned for raising their voice. Suddenly, in a moment of enduring and almost extreme deadlock, the thing known as the heart could not stand strong. That went for humans, and for ground dragons as well. Shouted upon with a malignant aggression of the Corson bears from up close, Gion gave out a short growl and stamped its feet on the ground, as if enraged.
Oh shit.
At Gion's roar, which abruptly cut off the silence, the Corson bears, which were in a state of lying dormant, ratcheted together simultaneously. The one attempting to distance itself away from the drag carriage turned back, and that reaction infected the vicinity as well. The witch beast rose and leapt upon the dragon carriage with their bare fangs. Immediately before that,
Oh, Huma!
the mana materialized rapidly, and the spearhead of the formed ice lance penetrated through the witch beast's skull. The sharp tip of frost pierced through its large mouth, infringing upon its oral cavity, and broke through its nape. Its brain churned. The Corson bear, without raising its voice, collapsed backwards as it faced annihilation. Caught up in his power, several Corson bears, without pause, toppled sideways.
Run!
Shouted Subaru, immediately after witnessing the preemptive attack by Amelia, who's on top of the dragon carriage. Agreeing with that decision, Julius operated the reins of the dragon carriage, started running fiercely instantly. Of course, Petrochet too followed that, jumping away from the side of the witch beast standing stock still, and broke off in a savage sprint.
They're coming! They're coming! They're coming! They're coming! They're coming! They're coming! Ah!
A beat later, a deafening series of roars shattered the night across the serene Agoria sand dunes. The vast flower field rippled as if a wave, and the Corson bear pack, gnashing fangs and snarling grotesquely, charged forth with a relentless fury, surging towards the dragon carriage.
Subaru! Firmly hold on or you'll be thrown off, in fact!
The overwhelming pressure that weighed around was like a blast of fierce wind, but was truly the murderous intent coming from the ravenous countless Corson bears raining down upon them all. A thick arm, armed with a razor-sharp claws, swung upward with terrifying force, ready to strike Subaru atop the dragon carriage. If it landed, the blow would punch a hole through his body with ease, ripping flesh and spilling guts in a flash. Yet, just as the impalement came, a pale blue-white ethereal glow intervened, plunging into the beast's body with deadly accuracy.
Hey! Yeah! Alright! These! So many! Huma!
As always, with the mana forming a whirlpool and a voice coming from her heart, giving the impression that the blue-white light was performing a boisterous dance in the dark sky. That was the transformation of countless sharp spearheads pointing above the ground into blades of ice. immediately after stagnation, lasting a single moment, firing as if having acquired propulsive force. The craniums, the arms, the torsos, and the legs of the Corson bears swarming upon the dragon carriage were torn into shreds, giving rise to spouts of blood.
Oh, as expected of Amelia Tan! I'm falling for you again!
This is not the time for saying such things, is it? Run!
Yes!
Having his life saved by Amelia's followed up, Subaru further accelerated Patrichet, and with the sudden exchange, Amelia was coping with the fight with surprising composure. In retrospect, even if Amelia had shirked from fighting, it was not as if fighting intimidated her. The tendency to avoid fighting within her was an indecision that would be erased once battle had broken out.
Barasu, run until you collapse if you do not wish to die!
Yeah, of course. Ram?
The tough fight was being put up by Amelia. The bluish-white light mowed down the frontward of the dragon carriage. Altogether, and the group of Corson bears, who had taken a roundabout path, were frozen at the same time, as Jian rushed and broke towards the ice sculpture. Now sitting on the driver's seat gripping to the reins was Ram, having suddenly moved from the passenger compartment. At Ram, who was skillfully handling the reins, driving the ground dragons in an agitated state, Subaru peeled open his eyes and let his gaze wander around.
What about Julius?
It seemed like he'd be utterly useless up in the driver's seat without a means of ranged attack. That's why...
At a glance, Ram looked towards the rear at Subaru's call. Lured to that line of sight, and looking backwards, Subaru thoughtlessly felt dumbfounded. Biting the sand, beside the dragon carriage with its wheels roaring, clinging onto one of the ornaments, waving about the grass knight's sword, was the form of Julius, clearing away the approaching witch beasts.
Burdening Amelia-sama with responsibilities and such cannot be done either, you see.
Was that directed at me?
That would be...
Pausing his words there, Julius had his knight's sword meet with the claws of the approaching witch beasts. The decapitating slash weaved through the gap of those claws and deeply gorged into the arms of the Corson bears. At the same pace, the dancing tip of the sword pierced through the throats of the witch beasts, who let out screams, and, as if in a flash, it granted death by destroying their brainstem. That dance, with minimal destruction, was truly debonair.
Wrong.
Successfully crushing the witch beasts, Julius voiced what remained of his reply to Subaru while dusting away his sword. Subaru made a bitter face at the gesture, tasting reassurance with a sense of defeat. Simply, having put Amelia in charge of the long range, clearing away the close range was up to Julius. If that structure were to continue, the concern regarding the dragon carriage could be saved for later. That was a problem for their internal affairs person anyway.
Beiko, can you go for it?
Subaru, be careful that you don't run out of gas too, I suppose.
Above Patrichet, raising his body, Subaru held the reins with one hand and grabbed onto Beatrice with the other, standing her small body on top of the dragon. Steadily clasping each other's hands, something throbbed in the interior of Subaru's guts. Like hot magma, it slowly streamed from Subaru's body into Beatrice's.
Mia!
Crystals of violet materialized with the chant, and aimed for the witch beast blocking the path ahead of the ground dragon's nose. Accurate aiming, momentary advancement, the outcome was visible immediately afterwards. Raising sound like that of shattering glass, the magical attack directly struck the witch beast, and the crystals fragmented. The following moment, the body of the witch beast fragmented similarly as well.
Alright! Good going, Beiko!
But I can't keep casting it recklessly, in fact. I need to be careful and conserve mana. Minya!
Is that conserving it?
Beatrice's battle strength depended upon the mana remaining inside Subaru. In order to oppose the overwhelming advancing threat, even Beatrice was unable to compromise much. Feeling the seeming sense of loss, as if his soul was being diminished with every single attack of magic, Subaru, talkative and composed, abated Beatrice's nervousness. Of course, such consideration was clearly visible to Beatrice.
Seriously? How did it end up like this? This is supposed to be my ace in the hole!
Thus, the ultimate weapon stood up to those who had been standing their silence until now, and stepped on the ground. A driver, having been sat beside Ram, Meili, with her eyes tearing up, surveyed the swarm of Corson bears crowding around their surroundings while making a red face. Then she pointed a finger towards the witch beast who would not obey her.
I'll give you a scolding to the bad animal sands! Come on, sand earthworm!
No way!
Immediately after Meili pouted and tantrumed like a child, the desert that had turned up thanks to the rise of Corson bears, and with the underneath of that sand being stirred up subsequently, a huge frame rushed out, swallowed within the momentum of the gigantic beast, pushing its whole body out from the underground. The countless Corson bears dragged within were launched up to the sky. Falling on the sand from high altitude, the witch beasts had their bones broken, and the unfortunate Corson bears directly above that humongous mouth got chewed up. Thrashing around while tearing apart the desert. The one laying waste upon the repulsive flower meadow was the sand earthworm. With a foul smell and a strange voice cutting through the twilight, the sand earthworm decided that the bear clinging to the side of the carriage was its prey, and with a leap of its huge frame, it crushed the bear in one fell swoop.
Go! Sand earthworm! Crush everyone! Everyone!
Are you serious? Hey! Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Hey, hey, hey!
The weight, capable of making the very ground rumble, writhed through the sand sea, and the wails of the Corson bears being crushed by the pressure of the humongous frame echoed. Corson bears, too, did not possess a weak frame whatsoever, but they could not possibly compete with the figures of the sand earthworms, whose overall length could be even above 10 meters. The overwhelming difference in mass resulted in collision, and the Corson bears got successfully turned into corpses. In the commotion, which was a decisive battle between monsters at this point, Sue had no words to appropriate for it. Amelia and Beatrice's magic, Julius' swordsmanship, Millie's unusual talent narrowly cleared the way, and the dragon carriage and Patricia rapidly proceeded through the flower meadow.
Ah! The sandworm is!
Millie's shriek was heard. Observing it, the sand earthworm, possessed by a great number of Corson bears who had their claws gouged into that humongous fame, was shedding large quantities of bodily fluids from its entire body and collapsed on the ground. The outer skin of the slimy and soaking wet sand earthworm was not something as sturdy as that of snakes or insects. The skin sustaining the soft body easily fell prey to the claws, and a wail of agonizing death reverberated through the sand sea.
Next! 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 Keep coming! Fast!
One single giant collapsed, and Meili clapped her hands with a pallid face. And lured to that, once again the sand was uplifted, and a different sand earthworm made its appearance. This time, there were 6 at the same time. However, compared to the first one, they were twice as small. And if they were to get enclosed by the swarm of Corson bears, they would get hunted down in a blink of an eye.
At this pace.
They would get defeated by the violence of numbers. With a sense of terrible hopelessness, Subaru desperately looked at the surroundings and searched something that could help them break out of this deadlock. And he noticed the watchtower that had been so distant was close enough to be said that it was right before their eyes.
Just a little bit left! If we can reach the watchtower at this pace!
The beast didn't retreat, not by any means, but for a fleeting moment the tide seemed to present the slightest path, a single thread that held far more weight than it should have. It's not like Subaru had any grand thoughts or plans. It was simply this lingering hope. If I can reach the watchtower, that perhaps there'd be a power that could turn the tide of the situation. It was a hope born merely out of desperation, clinging to the faintest line of hope. And, as it turned out, that feeling bore fruit.
At this rate.
However, that power is not offered for just any to bend to their will as they saw fit, but rather a hammer of righteous fury that buffeted the landscape with callous equality upon those who dared approach the Pleiades watchtower with ill intentions. Heavy lids opened, Subaru clinging to Patrasha's rough scales while supporting Beatrice aside, glaring at the watchtower looming overhead. Sweat dripped down his face as he momentarily caught a glint. An unsettling sensation began to stir within him.
What?
That was his last word. but it never escaped. A crack of light streaked across the sky, and hitting dead on its target, it struck Subaru squarely between the eyes. In an instant, the top of Natsuki Subaru's head was sheared off by the impact, consciousness spilling into the desert sand below, his body evaporating to boiling light, as if a flash, leaving nothing behind. The tragedy of the scene was silent, not a single cry raised. For those who might have witnessed it, those who should have screamed in shock, were all likewise turned inside out. The Earth Dragon, its head gone, collapsed with a dry thud. Caught in the violent tipping of the dragon carriage, human bodies, too headless, were crushed, snapped, and reduced to scattered chunks of flesh. All that remained was a welling oasis of crimson blood, the dry sand, eagerly drinking its craved moisture. Slowly, ever so slowly, the fine sand pulled it all into reservoirs deep below, as if hiding any evidence of the traveler's journey. The only trace would be a newly budding flower of bright red, vividly beautiful against the sand. But even that nascent beauty would eventually be ripped apart by the blowing wind, cutting across the dunes.
Great job, everyone.
We did it.
Woo!
Pentakill, that's crazy.
I can't believe he killed off the main character.
That's crazy.
Holy, I had to yap so much that
Yeah,
chapter.
you did
Yeah, that was-
great.
You did great, especially for such an atmospheric narration.
Great job, everyone, with the whispering. It sounded awesome.
Yeah, it just felt
Sure
so right
did.
to do it in that moment because it felt wrong to speak at a normal tone.
Agreed.
Guys, what do we do?
This part stresses me out.
We
so
returned by
Who did- Oh, it took me everything to hold back. I thought I had the normal one, but
You have the Giga one, don't you?
I do. I thought I had the
He does
original.
one.
I'm gonna add it.
It's fine. I typed it in chat.
Yeah.
It's so sad that Subaru sees like a tiny sliver of hope and gets really desperate, and then he doesn't even get to fully comprehend what just blew his head off.
Yeah, Union's a monster.
Yeah.
Melee is so useful.
Pretty bold move killing off his main character like that.
Yeah, what the fuck?
She is.
Love Melee.
Melee's goated.
I remember struggling to understand what she was saying and doing in these chapters a lot. It's so much clearer with someone actually voicing her.
Yeah. Melee kicking ass as always. Being the MVP.
This
of
is
the
her
team.
best battleground.
Yeah.
I'm even more stressed about what's to come.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Chapter
Ooh,
60.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a wild 2 weeks.
I'm
Get
going to be
us.
practicing a lot because I have a lot of emoting to do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For all of the chapters. Actually, that's just arc 6, huh?
You know, there's a few chapters in Arc 6 where Subaru's not there. Like 2.
True.
Yeah, true.
You had like 2 of them. And then there were some where there's only Subaru.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple chapters
Poor
where
guy.
it's basically just my dialogue, right?
I
Yeah,
think
it's just
so.
yours.
If
There's multiple, I think.
barely any of your dialogue too, because a lot of it's going to be like internal narration and thoughts and such.
Yeah.
Super long narration ones.
Oh. The narrator's getting ready to die when we get to arc 7
Oh god.
and 8. Oh.
Arc
That's
7's
why we're
been-
going to cast everyone.
Hell yeah! We're actually getting pretty close to starting our auditions. Wahoo!
Sure
Under a
are.
month.
Yeah, just about.
It's a good thing we're
Can't
starting
wait.
them early. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Super Trollin. We'll be doing on Saturday as well. So the 5th, 9th, 12th, 16th, and then we're taking a break on the 19th.
Yes. Not fully confirmed what we're doing. Yeah, actually, let me check it out while we're here. Yes, this Saturday. I've lined up the next 3. So we'll have one more, and then I'll keep adding them. So you guys can press notify me in the live section.
Yeah. And how long does phase 1 go? We might be able to calculate
18
this out.
chapters.
Yeah, 18.
Goes to chapter 18.
And we're
All
getting
right.
close.
So we have 10 today, 12 Saturday.
We end on 16, I think.
14.
Do we end on 16? Yeah, 16. If we're taking a break after the week after.
Yeah. So we finish phase 1 right before we have that Saturday off.
Wahoo!
Oh, that's actually perfect.
I think. Yeah, that works out pretty perfectly.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we'll have to get all of our auditions and everything ready. As always, we will be opening it up to everyone within Studio Reverie first, then the Discord, then Casting Call Club. So even if you've never auditioned before, that's a good opportunity to join in. Sometimes you can audition, join in, become best friends with everyone, and make it to the top.
Yep.
Hi.
It's real. It's true.
It has happened.
Let's let history repeat itself.
It's
Wait, doesn't that mean like you guys will get cycled out for the next group of people that make it to the then?
Don't tell them about that.
I think it means that I
Okay,
have to replace Kyle's as Wolf's partner, and then we go from there.
We already time
Oh
share.
yeah, baby.
Kill me now.
We time share, Wolf. I remain number 1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk out
Fucking
into the
fight.
snow and let it take me.
Yeah, you're number 2,
So
number 1
you
and number 2 in my heart is already filled out.
Yeah, fuck me, man.
Bro.
Are you
Anyways.
Rem or are you Amelia? Yeah.
I'm Betty.
Fuck.
I'm Betty.
Yeah,
I
who's-
suppose.
I'm
Who's
making
Remy
you
and
my
Amelia?
number 1 instead.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely. You got it.
I don't
You're
care.
very
if it's
welcome
my
to
number
the
one.
Harder.
one Colin. So what did everyone at home think of the chapter? Great job. I mean, all of us from here, of course, kept the pacing and the tone super well. The tension was up the entire time.
Yeah, it was so
Yeah, even without
exciting.
music, I
Yeah,
was,
I think
my
I
teeth were
think
chattering.
the editing of the dialogue of that chapter made it seem so much more intense.
Yeah.
It did. You did a fantastic job on this, Gold.
Yeah.
Like, I saw how many edits you did. You did incredible work.
Thank
you.
you.
You genuinely did like.
No,
amazing.
I noticed like a couple of lines. I was like, I should have done the entire thing over. Actually, I should have edited almost every single line because like there's some narration I was like, oh, that was redundant. I also didn't change one of Meili's lines to not say beast son or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wolf
like
and I
Tasty.
went through most of it as well to catch
I
things,
love
but stuff's always going to fall through the cracks no matter how tight anyone looks.
It's so great.
Thank
Like
you.
if you look
Emma.
at the comparative, thank you. And if you look at the comparative, like both side by side, you can see how much the dialogue was altered.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Meili's lines are like so bad to read aloud unless you edit them. So I tried my best to make them readable. So yeah.
Subaru has
This
that
chapter,
problem
at least.
pretty often too.
Yeah,
But
Subaru's a tough.
that's what.
Yeah.
That's why we get to do the
100%.
podcast. We were putting in the work.
Yep.
Hi.
Which,
Yeah,
if
but
you
we
missed the
beyond
beginning of the
fumbled
stream, we
that.
have some more coming soon. Obviously, you had the 2 this week, but we have some more on the way. We got like 3 more
Yes.
banked already, and
Oh, we're starting Arc
Be
9
recording
this
even
week,
more later.
boys.
recording
Oh,
Arc 9 this
yeah.
week.
Yeah, I should say
Yes.
yes, recording. Don't get people too excited.
Recording.
Yeah, in fact, let's see. I just posted what? Arc 8 phase 3? So we have phase 4 and phase 5. So that'll be Friday, Monday. And then we have Arc 6. to
What if we
follow.
catch up? What are we gonna do? I guess we'll do week by week, right?
Yes.
We'll
We'll
literally-
do videos, and we have like 3 more EX novels, a bunch of if
EX
stories.
bunch of
my
if
Like, they just did a new if. They did the Wallachia if this,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
I
April
wasn't
Fools.
expecting at all.
Yep.
We're definitely going to be doing that at some point.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
a lot
Is it
better than the
Wallachia?
gender flipped ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the April Fool's if released
Oh.
this year.
Interesting. I'll have to-
The
can read
premise, to put it as little spoilers as possible, it's if the character that winds up where he does in Arc 7 meets the other duplicate of the person he's with for most of the story first.
Oh, that's so
I see. Interesting.
Mhm.
Audrey says there's too much content.
There is. ReZero has a lot of content. We have so much time to go
I mean,
through
we
it.
have
So many
The
side
unlimited
5
stories
million
come through.
potential side stories.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Which is great.
And people will finally be able to talk about stories that people don't even really look at, like a lot of the random ones that are like, oh, this is the one
Yeah,
with Felt Camp. Oh, this is the one with...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the one where 3 of the boys cross-dress in the middle of the Capitol.
Here's the one where
Exactly.
Petra, for some reason, gets in a soul-binding contract.
We covered that one, actually.
Oh yes,
That one's so funny to me. It's so bizarre.
Yep.
It's just like, what the fuck is this setting up?
Setting up good shit. It's all good.
But
It's good soup.
Yep.
But that's not even to include all of the thematic podcasts we can do, all of the other fun ideas, some of the really goofy ideas we've had, like at one point doing like a funny review of fan fiction as one.
Oh,
Mhm.
hell
Oh yeah, baby.
And we'll get Ed back at some point, too, to get his
Yes.
discussions on season
Yes,
3.
we will.
His theories and
Ooh.
beliefs.
Oh, actually, that's
He's cooking.
Season
He's cooking shit.
Man cooks hard.
Yeah, we had to stop joining because he kept asking us too many like spoilery
Yeah.
questions that was like
Yeah,
teetering around
that
the
was
edge.
funny.
We're getting to a certain
It's like,
point
well, is
where
this true?
we were asking the same
Like,
questions
he's-
over and over, and I was like, oh, I do not want to spoil you.
I've kept up with like what he's been thinking throughout the anime, and he's legitimately like Arc 9 theory stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, he predicted Arc 7 before season 3 even started when we brought him on
Yeah.
the first time. Like half
I'm
of the
scared of
entire
him.
arc.
He's terrifying. He puts us all to shame.
Yeah, but he's so great. If you haven't checked him out, go check out Psyculturists on YouTube and Twitch. He's amazing.
amazing.
Lots of love. Got to start as a ReZero creator and moved on to talking to Congress about Mushoku Tensei and other anime.
It's never gonna get old.
The man is the GOAT. And big friend of the channel, too.
Mm-hmm.
We love him here.
I can't wait
Go
to
on, we miss all of
see
you.
you have him on and then have to dance around spoilers again for like a full hour and a half.
It's always
Yeah, we'll probably bring him on to discuss a specific character, too,
Yeah.
this time. See if we can get some insight into that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
Mm.
I think it's really fun with Ed too, because we will give like some of the non-spoilery like extra well-building padding that he wants to learn. And he always eats that up. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah. He was given the map from the mobile game on stream, and like
Yeah, I saw him freak out about that.
yeah, he freaked out and he beelined, like his brain immediately beelined to staring at the shrine in the watchtower. Like that was all he was asking about the entire time. He didn't ask about any other parts of the map. That's all he was asking. Okay, well, I don't think we should have given him the map guide.
Yeah, he's figured some stuff out, and it's great. He's a very smart man, and happy to see it come in with a series we all love, right?
That's why I had to stop going in.
Yep.
He got too close, and I'm terrible with spoilers.
He cooks too hard.
He does.
With
He
how much
does.
I avoid spoilers like the plague, I'm so deathly afraid of accidentally spoiling someone. I always have to be so cautious.
Yeah. It's like to not get spoiled too is also impossible.
True.
Yeah,
YouTube, you have to. There's that one Twitter account too that just like pops up in your notifications sometimes that spoils a plot beat of Arc 9, and it's ugh.
Whenever a chapter drops, I have to immediately jump into DMs and tell Wolf, get off of Twitter, get off social media, don't open anything for like a week. And it saved him from almost everything so far. He didn't get hit with, you know what? You'll actually see the reaction to that kind of stuff when we get a few more podcasts out. I'm not even going to spoil the reaction to it.
I know genuinely like nothing, like 0.1%.
I'm so glad. I am so glad. I feel for Kyle's when you do find out, because you're gonna scream and it's going to be a house terror.
Oh,
but
no.
I can't wait.
It's all good. It's all
After
good.
this, I'm going to read more Arc 7. And I'm going to keep updating my little, whatever the fuck I have in the Reverie
Voice
server.
memo thing and
Your book club. Yeah, if you want to see
Oh,
our
yeah.
lovely Kyle's McGuile's reactions to Arc 7 and Arc 6, Jump into the Discord. There's a great channel that's exclusively for her rants and theories and beliefs, and it is hilarious to listen to.
It's so funny.
It is so funny.
But if you spoil
she
her,
can
I
be
will
talking
ban
about
you
something.
so fast, it's not even funny.
She could be talking about like one thing, like 2 chapters in, and then like 2 chapters later, she completely just goes, "Never mind, guys. Oh,
I changed my mind. I love them now.
Wrong.
Shout out to my
What is
2
that
new
was wrong?
favorite characters.
Yes. That's why I'm putting
now
one
you're-
of them in the lust if Kyle's.
Indoctrination is good.
Yeah!
Ooh, yes.
I see
yes.
exactly
Also-
what everyone meant. I am going to audition for that character.
100%.
It's perfect for you. Yeah.
That role was
Shonen
literally-
MCS girl.
That role was literally distilled from the heavens for you. I shit you not.
Y'all thought I was
Yeah,
Amelia?
she's like
Fuck
you,
no.
pretty much.
She's like me.
Yeah.
Fuck.
guys, I'm stepping out of the
In a
Amelia
facet.
role. I have found something better for me."
Amelia, more
Yeah.
like, get out of my face, Elia.
It'd be funny. You could like use your almost your regular voice for medium, probably.
Yeah, I've
100%.
never heard my own voice in a role before, but I.
Every time I read her lines, I hear your high pitched hype. I'm just like, oh my god, this is perfect.
Such a
Can you
goofball,
just
man.
say, "Don't worry, Mr. Husband, I'm on my way"? Just in your normal voice.
Do I say it like excitedly?
Like, yeah, energetic,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
your normal voice.
Don't worry, Mr. Husband. I'm on my way.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yeah, no, that's medium. Hey,
Sneak
medium.
peek.
What's stopping?
Instacast.
And if you want to
So
audition
sorry
for
for
her too,
everyone
though,
filling
keep
up for the medium
yourself-
role.
Locked in.
Yeah. If you want to audition against her, if you even want to take a shot, make sure you stay subscribed and updated with everything. We'll be posting those auditions pretty soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know,
And,
it's okay,
seems like
guys.
we're getting pretty excited for them. So
We
We
do
know we have no
require-
woman anyways. It's fine.
We require lots of femme voices, so if you can specialize in a femme
There
voice,
are still, yeah.
fantastic.
No,
Yes.
don't get me wrong, though.
There's a reason why I'm Rom.
We have
so
Hey,
many.
it works.
Uh,
Now, that is not to say there is also a actual fuck ton of male characters in Arc 7 and Arc 8 too.
Oh yeah.
So, literally,
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying to the entire community that's interested, and you've always been curious, give it a shot. You never know, you might be perfect for that role. Seriously.
I will also have a Twitter post where you can drop demos. So if you have a voice acting demo or an acting reel, you'll have the opportunity to follow a Google Doc, or not a Google Doc, a Google form, and submit it there. And we'll listen to your reel, and we'll let you know if we have you on like a roll call type thing, and we'll check in if ever we're missing a few people for a live recording, or just need some help fixing up some like background characters or something. So we'll have that too.
Yeah, and don't
Yeah, I
worry,
think we
because
have-
even random characters like Jimmy Jimston will probably have some chapter focusing on them because,
Jim
you know,
Jim
everyone
Jim.
has chapters focusing on them in Arc
Yeah.
7 and 8 because there's
You
so
get a name
goddamn many.
chapter.
Every
You
character
get a
has
name
to
We
have
have-
actual motive and meaning and stuff. That's like, what? Huh?
There are about 42 named characters that we do not have cast right now, so there's a lot of spaces open,
Yeah.
and we're excited to bring people in. Any other thoughts on tonight's chapters, though, everyone?
I liked how we could go back and
Mm.
forth from like super goofy to serious.
Yeah, it's a really
And,
interesting
yeah.
balance, especially voicing Subaru, because there are times where when a specific thing is written the way it is contextually, I have to kind of guess if it's comedic or not, or like kind of have undertones of both.
Usually Subaru's entire shtick is unless he's being self-deprecating, there's a hint of sarcasm or something in there.
Mm-hmm. Which
That's
is great,
concerning!
because the really cool thing is because I'm British, I have natural sarcasm factor, so it just works.
Oh, cheats. That's spawning with
cheat
cheats
code.
essentially.
Sarcasm.
Literally, anytime I say something new to Connor sometimes in the call, and he's like, "Wait, did you mean that?" I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean? You sound super sarcastic or monotone there, dude." I'm like, "Huh? This is how I normally speak. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
discovered
and
that
then, like, all you
Englishmen
really
are
have to
just
do-
naturally assholes accidentally.
All you have to really do is like add like a slight upwards lilt at the end of any given phrase, and there you go. There's your sarcasm. There's your perfect sarcasm.
I didn't mean.
What's hilarious is that Rom is the exact opposite, where you have to drop it at the end of each of her lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't mean to sail into this random country and plant our flag, you know? It wasn't our fault, we just stumbled across it, you know? And now it's here.
Yeah, no, I disagree. You stole all that stuff and put it in the museum.
Hey! It belongs in a museum.
It belongs in a museum.
They're just jealous that other countries have a sun and they don't.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard winters hit me here? Because I'm reminded of home. Like, oh no, it's gonna rain.
You're getting your trauma flashbacks?
It's gonna rain for 10 months straight.
It's your name chapter flashback, man.
The UK is so weird because there's 2 months of summer because of global warming and stuff where it is insanely hot and our houses aren't designed to handle heat, so it's actually like insane and terrible. And then for the rest, it's murky, cold, moist, and miserable. Man, it's not cool.
So it's shit or shit.
Yes.
Shit or shit.
Yep, pretty much. That's
I don't
probably
think
a
I'd wanna
point
be
where
there.
we've lost ourselves enough to call the video here for tonight. Thank you all for joining us.
Hi.
Thank you,
you
everyone.
all.
Guys.
Bye.
We will see you Saturday.